This will help you to accomplish the twofold objective of removing the barriers and simultaneously allowing the power of intention to work with and through you. Become conscious of your thoughts. Every thought you have impacts you. By shifting in the middle of a weakening thought to one that strengthens, you raise your energy vibration and strengthen yourself and the immediate energy field. Make meditation a regular practice in your life. Even if it's only for a few moments each day while sitting at a stoplight, this practice is vital. Take some time to be silent and repeat the sound of God as an inner mantra. Meditation allows you to make conscious contact with your source and regain the power of intention by assisting you in cultivating a receptivity that matches up with the force of creation. Also, retreat from low-energy substances. Alcohol and virtually all artificial drugs, legal and otherwise, lower your body's energy level as well as weaken you. Furthermore, they put you in a position to continue to attract more disempowering energy into your life. Become conscious of the energy level of the music you listen to. Harsh, pounding musical vibrations with repetitive, loud sounds lower your energy level and weaken you and your ability to make conscious contact with intention. Similarly, the lyrics of hate, pain, anguish, fear, and violence are low energy, sending weakening messages to your subconscious and infiltrating your life with similar attractor energies. If you want to attract peace and love, then listen to the higher musical vibrations and lyrics that reflect these desires. Furthermore, become aware of the energy levels of your own home environment. Prayers, paintings, crystals, statues, spiritual passages, books, magazines, the colors on your walls, and even the arrangement of your furniture all create energy into which you've catapulted for at least half of your waking life. The ancient Chinese art of feng shui has been with us for thousands of years and is a gift from our ancestors, which describes ways to increase the energy field of our home and workplace. Become aware of how being in high-energy surroundings impacts us in ways that strengthen our lives and removes barriers to our connection to intention. Also, begin to reduce your exposure to the very low energy of commercial and cable television. The majority of television shows provide a steady stream of low energy most of the time. You can also enhance your energy field with photographs, believe it or not. You may find it difficult to believe that photography is a form of energy reproduction and that every photograph contains energy. See for yourself by strategically placing photographs taken in moments of happiness, love, and receptivity to spiritual help around your living quarters, in your workplace, in your automobile, and even on your clothing or in a pocket or in your wallet. Arrange photographs of nature, animals, and expressions of joy and love in your environment, and let their energy radiate into your heart and provide you with their higher frequencies. Immerse yourself in nature, appreciating its beauty, spending time camping, hiking, swimming, taking nature walks, and reveling in the natural world. Attend lectures on spirituality, take a yoga class, give or receive a massage, visit monasteries or meditation centers. Extend acts of kindness, asking for nothing in return. Anonymously extend financial aid to those less fortunate, and do it from the kindness of your heart, expecting not even a thank you. Pick up some litter and place it in a proper receptacle and tell no one about your actions. In fact, spend several hours doing nothing but cleaning and clearing out messes that you didn't create. Any act of kindness extended toward yourself, others, or your environment matches you up with the kindness inherent in the universal power of intention. It's an energizer for you and causes this kind of energy to flow back into your life. Be specific when you affirm your intentions to raise your energy level and create your desires. Written affirmations have an energy of their own and will guide you in raising your energy level. I practice this myself. There's a woman named Lynn Hall who lives up in Toronto. She sent me a beautiful plaque that I look at every day. In her letter, she says, "Here's a gift for you, written solely for you in an effort to convey heartfelt gratitude for the blessings of your presence in my life." That said, I'm sure that the sentiment is a universal one, speaking for every other soul on the planet who has experienced the same good fortune. May the light and love that you emit forever reflect back to you in joyful abundance, Dr. Dyer. And the beautiful etched-in soul plaque reads like this: Spirit has found great voice in you in vibrant truths and joyful splendor. Spirit has found revelation through you in resonant and reflective ways. Spirit has found celebration through you in infinite expanses and endless reach. To all those awakened to the grace of your gifts, Spirit has found both wings and light. I read these words daily to remind me of my connection to Spirit and to allow the words to flow from my heart to yours, fulfilling my intentions and hopefully helping you to do the same. As frequently as possible, hold thoughts of forgiveness in your mind. In muscle testing, when you hold a thought of revenge, you'll go weak, while a thought of forgiveness keeps you strong. Revenge, anger, and hatred are exceedingly low energies that keep you from matching up with the attributes of the universal force. A simple thought of forgiveness toward anyone who may have angered you in the past, without any action taken on your part, will raise you to the level of spirit and aid you in your individual intentions.
You were not placed here to rehearse a life that does not belong to you. You were not born to tiptoe around the opinions of others like a ghost in your own story, asking the world for permission to be what your soul already knows it is. There comes a moment, not just in a lifetime, but in a breath, where you are called to decide not what you do, but who you are, not who you were told to be, not who you were raised to perform as, but who you truly are beneath the roles, the wounds, the projections, and the applause. Decide who you are, not with your mind, but with your being. Decide it in the silence. Decide it in the ache of discontent. Decide it when the noise of the world grows loud and you can't hear yourself think. Because that's when the voice of your spirit finally whispers loud enough for you to feel it, not with your ears, but with your knowing. And once you do, live like it. Live like your soul is not on trial. Live like you are the author, not the echo. Live like you are what you came here to remember, not what the world tried to make you forget. The moment you decide who you are, the world begins to rearrange, because it changes, but because you do. You no longer bend to fit the mold, you melt it. There is no outside permission slip required for you to become yourself. The only permission is the sacred yes you give yourself in the stillness, the yes that feels like coming home. The yes that says, I remember now, I am not this fear. I am not this shame. I am not this endless loop of proving. I am not the mask I wear to survive. I am the presence beneath it all. You see, the moment you decide who you are, life stops happening to you and starts responding through you. The energy of creation flows where alignment is present. And alignment is born the moment your inner truth and outer choices begin to mirror one another like a lake finally still enough to reflect the sky. So I ask you, not gently, but lovingly, what are you waiting for? Another sign? Another wound? Another approval from someone who doesn't even know their own worth? Decide. Decide that you are not here to perform, you are here to embody. Decide that you don't need to beg for crumbs of validation when your soul is already seated at the table of the divine. Decide that you are not the echo of your trauma, but the voice that rises from its ashes. And then live like it. Live like joy is your natural state and not a reward you earn through suffering. Live like peace is not a luxury, but your birthright. Live like you have nothing left to prove, because who you are is not up for negotiation. You see, there is a certain grace that enters the life of someone who has decided. They don't chase, they don't compete. They don't explain their path to those who've never dared to walk their own. They walk with clarity, they walk with peace. They walk with God, not in some distant temple, but in the steady beat of their awakened heart. And maybe that's what you forgot, that the divine does not ask you to earn your worthiness. It simply asks you to remember it. You don't need to perform your way into being enough. You only need to stop pretending that you're not. Because when you know who you are, you stop shrinking for comfort and start expanding for truth. And let me tell you something powerful. When you decide who you are, everything you thought you needed starts to shift. You no longer seek love from those who cannot give it. You no longer wear masks in rooms that drain your spirit. You no longer agree to play roles that betray your essence. You begin to live in harmony with your own frequency, and that, my friend, is where the miracle begins. Because the universe does not respond to who you wish you were. It responds to who you are. And who you are, at your core, is not wounded. It is not small. It is not broken. Who you are is consciousness wrapped in form. You are an idea in the mind of God made flesh. You are light in motion. You are not becoming enough. You are unveiling it. So why then do you doubt? Why do you still hand the pen of your life over to voices that do not know the plot? Why do you allow fear to write your script in invisible ink, so that when you look back, you can't even find the pages you lived through? Take the pen back. Write boldly. Write truthfully. Write with the ink of your own soul. Because there is something sacred about a person who has decided to live in truth. They no longer hustle to be seen, they radiate. They no longer conform, they align. They no longer shrink, they expand. And when they speak, it is not for applause. It is for clarity. It is for resonance. It is because their soul can no longer bear the weight of pretending. That is the call for you now. Decide who you are, not based on what happened to you, but based on what was always true before the world touched you, before the world labeled you, before the world confused you. Because underneath all of that, there is still a river that knows its way back to the ocean. There is still a flame that remembers how to burn. There is still a child in you that never forgot how to believe in magic. That child was never wrong. The world was. You were not wrong to want to dance in your own rhythm. You were not wrong to question the cages they called comfort. You were not wrong to feel that there was something deeper calling you from within the stillness. That voice, that whisper, that ache, that was truth. Now live like it. Live like every breath is a vote for freedom. Live like your yes is sacred and your no is holy. Live like your time is not something to trade for acceptance, but to devote to your becoming. Because when you live from the place of inner decision, you stop reacting and start creating. You stop fearing death and start honoring life. And when people ask, who do you think you are? You will answer, not with defensiveness, but with peace. I am what I decided. I am what I remembered. I am what I've always been, even when I forgot. And I live like it. The moment you decide who you are, you enter a sacred contract, not with the world, but with your soul. And this contract is not written on paper. It is not notarized by society or signed with ink. It is carved into your being like the sunrise carving light into a sleeping sky. It is felt in the marrow of your bones when you finally stop trying to outrun yourself. You don't just decide with your thoughts. You decide with your energy. You decide with the way you breathe when you no longer hold yourself hostage to the expectations of others. You decide with the way you walk away from what once kept you small, and you do not explain why you are not returning. This decision, this sacred inner declaration, doesn't require a celebration. It requires congruence. It calls you to align the way you speak with the way your spirit whispers. It asks that your actions stop apologizing for your essence. And it demands that you stop postponing your joy for some mythical moment when all the pieces fall into place. Because the only piece that was ever missing was you. The real you, the undiluted you, the radiant, whole, soul-infused you that didn't need to become anything to be worthy of everything. You see, we live in a world that sells us mirrors made of lies. It tells us we must earn love, that we must compete to matter, that we must be someone else to be acceptable. But your soul has never bought into that currency. Your soul speaks in a different language. It doesn't shout, it doesn't bargain, it doesn't manipulate, it waits, it watches. And when you finally sit still long enough to listen not with your ears, but with your being, it says, welcome back, I've been here the whole time. That voice within you is not a stranger. It is the truest friend you've ever had. It's the one who doesn't care about your resume, your likes, your accolades, or your failures. It only asks one thing. Will you be loyal to me now? Will you finally be loyal to your essence, even if it makes you misunderstood? Will you be loyal to your peace, even if it makes you walk alone for a while? Will you be loyal to your light, even if the world prefers your shadow? Because when you decide who you are, and I mean truly decide, you will lose many things. You will lose the need to be liked. You will lose the craving for external validation. You will lose the habit of shrinking when you feel too powerful. But you will gain something that can never be taken. The unshakable, unbreakable, unmovable knowing that you are living your life, not someone else's version of it. And from that knowing, freedom blooms. A freedom that is not dependent on circumstances, a freedom that is not a result of control, but a surrender to truth. And in that surrender, you don't become passive, you become powerful. Because you are no longer chasing life, you are creating it. Not from desperation, but from clarity. Not from fear, but from purpose. Not from pain, but from presence. This is not a performance. This is a homecoming. And when you come home to yourself, everything that is not yours begins to fall away. The roles, the stories, the personas, the defenses, all of it begins to dissolve like mist under morning light. And in its place rises something ancient, something real, something infinite. You, the you that never needed fixing, the you that was never truly broken, only buried. You were never here to impress. You were here to express. You were never here to hustle your way into worthiness. You were here to embody the worth that was already breathed into you. And that embodiment begins when you stop waiting and start living like the decision has already been made. So decide again, not tomorrow, not when you're ready, now. Decide that you are not a problem to be solved, but a soul to be honored. Decide that your dreams are not optional. They are sacred assignments written into your very DNA. Decide that your presence is not an accident. It is a deliberate act of creation by a source that knows no error. And once you decide, the next step is clear. Live like it. Live like you have remembered something eternal. Live like you have nothing left to hide, only more light to reveal. Live like your breath is a prayer and your walk is a sermon. Live like your yes shapes worlds and your no creates space for miracles. Because it does. And when you live like that, the world begins to shift. Not because the world is different, but because you are. You begin to magnetize everything that resonates with your frequency. You begin to release everything that doesn't, and you stop fearing loss. Because you understand now what is real cannot be taken, and what is taken was never real. You don't chase, you attract. You don't force, you flow. You don't demand, you declare, because you have already decided, and your decision is now the blueprint of your reality. Even the cells in your body begin to realign when you live in truth. Even your heartbeat becomes a song of remembrance. And in that rhythm, you walk not as a seeker, but as one who is already found. So if you've forgotten who you are, this is your remembering. If you've abandoned your truth for safety, this is your return. If you've dimmed your light to belong, this is your rising. You were never meant to be small enough to fit inside someone else's comfort zone. You were never meant to live a life so quiet that your soul fell asleep in it. You were meant to decide to live awake, to walk boldly into the life that only you can live. You are not late. You are not lost. You are not lacking. You are simply being called right now to remember what you once decided before the world taught you to forget. So remember and live like it. And as we continue down this sacred path of inner declaration, let it be known, the soul does not whisper lightly. When the soul speaks, it is not with urgency, but with eternity. It has waited lifetimes for you to hear. It has waited through your betrayals of self, through your temporary amnesia, through your search for identity in places it could never be found. The soul is not impatient, but it is relentless. It will not compete for your attention with the noise of the world, but it will stay. And that is love, that is truth, that is home. When you decide who you are no longer afraid of shedding. You become a master of releasing, because now you understand nothing real is ever lost. Only illusions fall away. Only masks get discarded. And with every layer you shed, with every old belief you burn at the altar of your becoming, you get lighter, freer, truer. Deciding who you are is not about becoming someone new. It's about becoming someone ancient to you that existed before the world taught you to perform, before the ego taught you to defend, before your pain taught you to doubt. The real youth of soul you is not in need of change. It is in need of liberation. And when you live like that, when you live from that place, something miraculous begins to occur. You stop needing others to mirror your worth. You stop auditioning for love you were already born from. You stop compromising with mediocrity, not out of arrogance, but because truth has become your new standard. And truth, my friend, is not always comfortable, but it is always healing, it is always freeing, it is always aligning you with the life you came here to live. Not a life of mere survival, but a life of significance, a life of depth, a life where peace is not occasional, it is your constant companion. A life where you stop trying to get ahead and start walking in step with the rhythm of your soul. That rhythm may not match the tempo of society. That rhythm may look like stillness in a world that worships speed. That rhythm may require you to say no to things others call success, to say yes to things that don't make sense to their logic, but make perfect sense to your spirit. Because when you live from your decision, your divine decision, your life becomes a declaration. Not a declaration of defiance, but of alignment. Not rebellion, but remembrance. Not force, but flow. And you will begin to notice you speak differently. You walk into a room and no longer seek to be chosen. You choose yourself silently, fully. You sit across from others and listen, not to respond, but to understand, because you are no longer protecting a false self that needs to prove anything. You create not to impress, but to express, because your joy is no longer conditional on being received. It is self-generating, it is sacred, it is enough. And if you fall out of alignment, as we all do, you will not shame yourself. You will return gently, bravely, without drama, because you know now that coming home to yourself is not a one-time event. It is a daily devotion. You make that decision again, every morning, with every breath. Today, I decide who I am. Today, I walk like it. Today, I speak like it. Today, I rest like it. Today, I love like it. And when the old voices rise, the ones that say, you are not enough, not ready, not deserving, you will not argue with them, you will not battle them. You will simply turn your gaze inward, breathe, and return to the knowing. Because once you've made the decision, you don't need to convince anyone else. You only need to live it. Let your life be the evidence. Let your peace be the proof. Let your presence be the sermon. Let your alignment be the miracle that speaks louder than your words ever could. Because when you decide who you are and live like it, you become unshakable, not because life becomes easy, but because you become rooted, anchored, centered in a self that is no longer defined by the external. You become the calm in the chaos, the light in the fog, the truth in the noise. And that truth, your truth, is what the world needs. Not a version of you polished for approval. Not a diluted self painted for performance, but the raw, radiant, real you. The one that chose to remember, the one that chose to return, the one that chose to decide who they are and to live like it. So now, the question is no longer who are you trying to become? The question is, who have you already decided to be? And what would it look like if you finally, truly, courageously, unapologetically lived like it? And as the sun knows no shame in shining, may you know no shame in becoming. Let the decision settle in your bones, not just as a moment, but as a movement within your being. Because deciding who you are is not about one single thunderous revelation. It is about learning to choose yourself over and over, even when it's quiet, especially when it's quiet, when no one is watching, when nothing grand is happening, when the world has turned its gaze elsewhere. In those unseen moments, when you could shrink or delay or distract you, rise instead, not for them, for you. because you finally understand that authenticity is not about performance, it's about presence, it's about integrity, it's about being one with your truth, even when your voice shakes, even when the past echoes, even when the old self claws at the door, asking for one more day of your time, but you don't give it because you've decided to live like love is not something to chase, it's what you are. You've decided to walk like forgiveness isn't weakness, it's liberation. You've decided to create like your existence is already a masterpiece. And when you do this, you become a lighthouse not by trying to fix others, but by becoming unignorable in your radiance. You don't need to tell people what you're becoming, your energy tells them. Your presence tells them, your peace tells them. You become an example, not by being perfect, but by being whole. You see, wholeness does not come from achievement. It comes from alignment. It comes from the radical honesty of saying, this is who I am now, and allowing that to evolve, deepen, and mature without shame. Because the truth is, the real you isn't static. The real you is ever becoming, ever unfolding, ever blooming into greater expressions of love, wisdom, and peace. And that becoming it begins the moment you decide, because in that decision, you stop living from memory and start living from imagination. You stop rehearsing the past and begin sculpting the now. You stop telling the same old stories of pain, rejection, and limitation, and you start speaking new life into your reality. I am whole. I am powerful. I am divine. I am home. And when you say those words, not just with your mouth, but with your spirit, the world responds, the universe leans in, it says, they remember. And in that remembrance, doors open. Paths clear, people align, not because they were waiting, but because you were. And now that you've arrived, the unfolding begins. You see, your decision to live in truth is not just for you. It's for everyone your light will ever touch. Every stranger who crosses your path, every child who watches your example, every soul silently praying for permission to be real. Your authenticity gives others courage to be authentic. Your wholeness gives others permission to heal. Your peace ripples outward in ways you will never fully see, but the impact is real. So don't delay. Don't wait until the pain forces you. Don't wait until the fear fades. Don't wait until the world claps for you. The applause will never be loud enough to quiet your soul if you haven't yet made peace with yourself. Choose peace now. Choose you now. And live like the decision has already been made. Because the truth is, you decided who you are long before this moment. You decided in the silence between breaths. You decided in the ache that would no longer let you lie. You decided in the tears that fell without explanation. You decided in that moment, you said, enough. Enough hiding. Enough shrinking. Enough waiting. And now you're not just ready, you're aligned. So live like it. Speak like it. Walk like it. Create like it. Breathe like it. Because your life is no longer a performance. It is a prayer. And your soul is no longer asleep. It is awake. Fully, radiantly, irreversibly awake. And now, nothing can ever be the same again. Because once you decide who you are and live like it, you become unstoppable. Not because the path is easy, but because you've remembered that you are the path and there is no going back. Only forward, only freedom, only truth. Only now, you are home. Live like it. There's something holy about a life that no longer seeks escape, a life that no longer fantasizes about someday or waits for a better version of itself to begin, a life that opens its eyes to the miracle of this moment, this breath, this know, and says, I'm no longer at war with myself. There is no longer a version of me I am running from or toward. There is only this presence, and in this presence, I am already complete. That's when the real transformation begins. When the decision to live like yourselfully, unapologetically, and joyfully as no longer an idea, but a devotion. a sacred practice of remembering not once but moment by moment. You wake up, and before the world claims your attention, you place your hand on your heart and whisper, "Today, I walk with the soul at the front." And your day no longer begins with stress, but with reverence. You look at your reflection not to criticize or adjust, but to acknowledge the divine being inhabiting your body. You don't see flaws, you see symbols. Your eyes, portals, your scars, maps, your skin, a temporary home for something eternal, and something inside you softens. You stop living to fix yourself. You start living to express yourself. Not because you are without wounds, but because you are no longer defined by them. Healing, after all, does not mean erasing the pain. It means walking with it gently until it no longer has authority over your identity. And this is what few are ever taught. You do not have to wait to feel perfect before living truthfully. The decision does not require perfection. It requires honesty, radical, naked, compassionate honesty. The kind that says, yes, I've been hurt, but I am not my hurt. Yes, I've made mistakes, but I am not my past. Yes, I've been lost, but I've always been whole underneath. That honesty is the gateway to grace. And grace, once it touches your life, changes the geometry of everything. Suddenly, you are no longer holding the world together with tension. You are holding yourself together with love. You are no longer walking on eggshells through life. You are dancing barefoot on sacred ground. You are no longer censoring your spirit for the comfort of others. You are channeling your truth like water flowing from a higher mountain. That is what it means to live like you've decided who you are. It means the masks fall off, not because you've grown tired, but because you've grown true. It means the silence inside you becomes louder than the noise around you. It means you stop bargaining with your purpose, and instead, finally, you embody it. You become the message. Not the messenger trying to convince, but the living, breathing embodiment of what it means to be free. And when others see you, when they feel you, they may not know what has changed, but something in their soul will stir. Something in them will say, this is what it looks like when someone remembers. Because that's what you've done, haven't you? You've remembered. You've remembered that peace isn't the absence of conflict, it's the presence of clarity. You've remembered that joy isn't the result of outcomes, it's the natural expression of alignment. You've remembered that power isn't dominance over others, it's presence within yourself. And now, with this remembering, you move differently. You don't rush. You don't strive. You walk with the knowing that everything that is yours is moving toward you because you have finally aligned your being with your becoming. This is not Magichette's law. This is not hope, it's vibration. This is not ambition, it's surrender. Because when you surrender to the truth of who you are, your entire life becomes a ripple of liberation. You liberate your mind from old programming. You liberate your emotions from stagnation. You liberate your nervous system from the chronic grip of survival. You exhale the end in that breath, your soul takes the lead. So take another breath now, not as a routine, but as a revolution. Breathe in the knowing, I am already what I was searching for. Breathe out the lie, I am not enough. Breathe in the truth. My being is my becoming. Breathe out the performance. I have nothing to prove. And in this moment, feel what has always been here. Stillness, warmth, knowing, the gentle but undeniable hum of existence saying, you are on time, you are seen, you are not late, you are life expressing itself in one perfect unfolding form. Let that be enough. Let that be more than enough. Because when you truly decide who you are and live like it, you don't just change your life, you change your relationship with life itself. You no longer experience yourself as separate from the world. You realize you are the world, waking up to itself. The river is not apart from the ocean, it is simply on its way home. And so are you. This is what you were born for. To wake up in the middle of the storm and say, I am not the wind, I am the sky. To rise from the ashes and whisper, I was never the fire, I was the flame behind it. To walk through the world, not to escape it, but to illuminate it. And now, in this very breath, the liberation has already begun. Not because anything outside has changed, but because you have, and that is where all transformation begins, from within. There is a truth that echoes beneath the noise of this world. It is not loud. It does not beg for attention. It whispers softly but persistently beneath every breath you take and every doubt you hold. And it says, you are already whole. You are already worthy. You are already love. Not because of what you do, not because of what you own, but because of what you are. A divine being wrapped in a temporary form, here not to earn love, but to remember it. You see, somewhere along the way, we were taught to equate self-love with arrogance, with pride, with vanity. We were told to keep ourselves small, humble to the point of invisibility, quiet to the point of silence. We were trained to apologize for our light, to dim it so others wouldn't feel uncomfortable in its presence. But I am here to tell you that self-love is not vanity. It is not ego. It is not some inflated image puffed up by the approval of others. It is not a mask you wear, but the moment you take all masks off. It is not insanity. It is sanity. It is not selfishness, it is salvation. When you deny yourself love, you don't become more generous, you become more wounded. And the wounded, when unaware, wound others. A soul that has not been fed with its own acceptance will forever seek approval from others, like a starving child crying at the gate of a closed home. And the tragedy is this: the gate was never locked. It was never even real. It was a phantom created by your mind, a barrier built by belief. And you, my dear friend, are the builder and the breaker of that gate. To love yourself is not to place yourself above others, but to return to alignment with who you've always been, beneath the fear, beneath the roles, beneath the endless striving. You are not what this world convinced you to become. You are not your bank account. You are not your resume. You are not your mistakes. You are not the story your past tries to sell you. You are the breath behind the story. You are the awareness watching the storm, not the storm itself. And yet, we chase love as though it's outside of us. We chase it in people, in praise, in performance, but the heart knows the truth. Love that must be earned is not love, it's a transaction. And the soul cannot survive on transactions. It needs communion. It needs truth. And truth begins when you stop chasing and start returning. When you stop fighting for scraps and remember the feast has always been within. You were never meant to beg for what you are. You were never meant to prove yourself worthy of your own embrace. That is the madness the world taught you. That is the distortion that must be undone. You see, you don't heal by becoming someone new. You heal by remembering who you were before the world told you who to be. Before shame crept in, before guilt whispered its lies, before comparison choked your joy, you heal by coming home. And home, my dear, is within. It's not in the mirror's approval. It's in the mirror's forgiveness. When you look into your own eyes and say, I see you, I love you. You don't have to be perfect anymore to be worthy of peace. That's when the shift begins. That's when the veil lifts. That's when the soul sighs in relief and whispers, finally, you remembered. And so I ask you, what would happen if you stopped trying to be lovable and simply loved yourself? Not when you succeed, not when you fix all your flaws, but now as you are, in this breath, with the mess and the miracle all mixed in. What would happen if you honored your scars instead of hiding them? What if they weren't proof of brokenness, but proof of bravery?
Every crack in you is an opening for light. Every wound is a portal for wisdom. And every moment you choose to embrace yourself rather than abandon yourself, you rise. Not above others, but back into alignment with the divine pulse of life that created you. God did not create you to hate yourself. Life did not gift you breath so you could suffocate beneath your own judgment. The universe is not against you. The universe is within you, waiting for you to realign with your original frequency, and that frequency is love. Love that does not need a reason. Love that does not flinch when you falter. Love that does not withdraw when you make a mistake. Love that says, you are sacred still. This love does not scream, it does not argue, it does not compete, it simply is. And it is the most sane, most grounding, most healing energy you will ever know, and it begins when you stop outsourcing your worth. No one out there can give you what your own heart has the power to offer. And the moment you recognize this is the moment you stop begging and start being. The moment you realize self-love is not just a practice, it is a return to reality. The insanity was believing you were separate from your source. The sanity is remembering you never were. You were not born with doubt. You learned it. You were not born with shame. It was handed to you. You didn't arrive on this planet afraid to love yourself. You were conditioned into thinking that self-celebration was arrogance, that self-compassion was weakness, that to speak kindly to yourself was somehow self-indulgent. But the soul knows better. The soul never buys into that noise. The soul knows that honoring yourself is not egotism, it's equilibrium. It is the necessary homecoming to balance a world that has tried to pull you away from your center. Think for a moment about the tree. It does not question the space it takes up. It does not shrink to make the forest more comfortable. It does not apologize for its blossoming, or its roots, or its reach toward the sun. It simply grows not in competition with the others, but in full expression of what it was always destined to be. And so must you. You do not owe the world an apology for your light. You owe it your truth. You owe it your wholeness. You owe it the example of what it looks like when a person returns to their sacred self and finally stops running. Because you can run for a long time, my friend. You can run from your hurt. You can run from your reflection. You can run into careers, into relationships, into endless distractions that keep you too busy to feel. But there will come a moment, and perhaps this is it, when the running exhausts you, when even your distractions start to feel hollow. When the version of you that you built to survive no longer fits the version of you that is ready to live. And when that moment comes, it's not a breakdown, it's a breakthrough. It's the crack in the shell where the light gets in. That's the beginning of sanity. Not the sanity the world defines through boxes and metrics and control, but the deeper sanity of the soul. The sanity of remembrance, of clarity, of sacred stillness. The sanity that arises when you no longer try to earn your right to exist, but simply breathe in your own being as enough. And it is enough. You are enough. The caterpillar does not earn the right to become the butterfly. It simply surrenders to the process. It goes into the cocoon, it dissolves, it dies to the old form, and emerges in newness. What looks like death to the outside world is actually transformation. And perhaps what feels like crumbling within you is simply the old architecture falling away so the divine blueprint of your soul can be rebuilt, not in shame, but in love. That's what self-love does. It rebuilds you from the inside out. It doesn't fix you because you were never broken. It frees you from the illusion that you had to be fixed. It invites you to sit in your own silence, to touch the parts of you you've abandoned, and to say to them, you are safe now. I am here. I'm not going to leave myself again. Imagine the power of that. Imagine being the sanctuary you've always sought. Imagine walking through the world not looking to be validated, but to express truth. Not needing to prove anything, but simply to be a living, breathing embodiment of love itself. That is not ego. That is presence. That is your birthright. But this path isn't loud. It doesn't shout for recognition. It's not about performance. It's about depth. And depth requires courage. It takes a sacred kind of bravery to look at yourself unfiltered, unguarded, and to still choose love, to still choose forgiveness, to still say, even here, even now, especially now, I love you. You can't fake that. You can't manufacture it through affirmations alone. You must feel it. You must return to the inner child who once wondered if they were too much or not enough and whisper, you were never too much and you were never not enough. You were always exactly who you were meant to be. This is the kind of love that liberates. It's the kind that doesn't depend on your past, your performance, or your popularity. It is the love that sees through the masks, through the defenses, through the survival patterns, and still says yes, still stays, still believes. And that, my friend, is sanity. True sanity is alignment. It is when your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions all stem from love, not fear. When your life is no longer a reaction to pain, but a creation from peace. When your value is no longer negotiable. Because you've made peace with the one person who was always the gatekeeper, you. You cannot pour from an empty vessel. You cannot serve the world by diminishing yourself. Your presence, when rooted in truth, is a gift. Your joy is medicine. Your boundaries are wisdom. Your radiance is not a threat. It is a permission slip to others who've forgotten how to shine. But that light must be turned inward first. That love must be born in the quiet places of your heart, where no one is watching and no one is clapping. That's where the real work happens. That's where transformation takes root. And when it does, when you begin to choose love over loathing, kindness over criticism, and stillness over striving, you become a lighthouse. Not a lifeboat, not a rescuer, but a lighthouse. Simply standing in your truth, shining from within and reminding others you can come home too. When you begin to love yourself truly and without condition, the world doesn't necessarily change, but the way you see it does. The same streets, the same people, the same circumstances all begin to soften through the lens of compassion you first extend to yourself. And in that shift, what once felt like chaos begins to feel like choreography. You start to understand that everything that hurt you was never meant to break you, it was meant to wake you. To invite you to become more intimate with the sacred truth you've ignored, that you are not lacking. You are learning. You are not falling behind. You are unfolding. Self-love is not a destination you reach with a checklist. It is not a mood, a trend, or a curated morning ritual. It is a radical, ongoing act of grace. It's how you treat yourself when no one is watching. It's the gentleness you offer your mind when it races. It's the forgiveness you extend when you falter. It's how you hold your own hand when the world turns cold. It's the whisper in the dark that says, even now, I will not abandon you. Because sanity, true spiritual sanity, is not about being calm all the time or having it all together. It is about returning again and again to the awareness that you are not the noise in your mind. You are the space it moves through. You are not the wound. You are the witness. You are not the pain. You are the presence that can hold it. And that shift, that inner knowing, brings peace, not because life becomes easier, but because you become anchored. And when you are anchored in self-love, life loses its power to control you. Other people's opinions may still be loud, but they no longer own you. Their approval no longer determines your peace. Their disapproval no longer dictates your worth. You realize that you were never created to be edited by external expectations. You were created to be whole. You were created to be free. And freedom begins when the shackles of self-rejection fall off. You start to live differently. You speak more softly to yourself. You stop waiting for perfection and begin to dance with your humanity. You stop proving and start breathing. You stop reaching for something more and begin embracing what already is. And from that place, a quiet confidence rises, not loud, not boastful, but rooted. The kind of confidence that doesn't need to announce itself. It simply exists, like a mountain, like the ocean, like the soul that no longer fears being seen. And in that state of sanity, you stop trying to be lovable and realize you are love. Not as a concept, not as a motivational quote, but as your essence, as your very breath, as the truth you carry in every cell. You see that your existence is not an accident, not a mistake, not a detour, but a divine appointment. You are here to remember, to realign, to reclaim. You are here not to become better, but to remember you were never less. You are here to embody, not to impress. You are here to be, not to become, because being pure, present, unapologetic being is the most powerful gift you could ever offer the world. And when you touch that truth, even briefly, the search ends. You are no longer chasing worthiness. You are no longer addicted to validation. You are no longer trying to fix what was never broken. You have come home. And in that home, there is quiet, there is love, there is clarity. There is you, not the version they wanted, not the mask you wore, but the real, radiant, raw you. And that, dear soul, is more than enough. There will come a moment, and perhaps it's arriving now, where you feel the weight of all the roles you've been performing, and you will quietly, maybe even tearfully, begin to lay them down. Not because you failed in them, but because you finally saw through them. You'll no longer need to be the strong one all the time, or the quiet one, or the successful one, or the agreeable one. You'll no longer need to be what others projected onto you, because you'll have found something more powerful than any performance. You'll have found presence. And presence cannot be faked. It doesn't wear a costume. It doesn't adjust itself to win applause. Presence just is. It is the stillness in you that no trauma could touch, no shame could stain, and no lie could bury forever. Presence is what remains when all the illusions fall away. And you meet it not by climbing, but by surrendering. Not by acquiring more, but by releasing what no longer serves. When you love yourself, you begin to understand the wisdom in letting go. Not out of indifference, but out of reverence. You let go of the story that says you must earn rest. You let go of the belief that your worth is tied to your productivity. You let go of the assumption that you are only lovable when you please others. You release it all, not in anger, not in resistance, but in peace. You begin to see that self-love is not about adding more to yourself. It's about peeling back the layers of everything that was never truly you. And beneath those layers, there is a quiet purity, a softness that is not weakness, but wisdom, a grace that doesn't scream, but heals, a joy that isn't loud, but deep and steady, like an ancient river that never needed permission to flow. The soul doesn't compete. It doesn't compare. It doesn't rush. It simply flows with clarity and trust, because it knows where it comes from and where it's returning to. And that is the sanity of self-love. It aligns you with your natural rhythm. It brings you back into harmony with your source. And once you are in tune with that sacred frequency, life begins to support you in ways you once thought impossible. You attract differently. You speak differently. You move through the world with an inner light that requires no spotlight. And you stop waiting for someone to choose you, for a future version of yourself to arrive, for the perfect moment to begin. You realize the choosing starts with you. The healing starts with you. The permission starts with you. No one is coming to give you the love you keep withholding from yourself. And the beautiful, liberating truth is, they don't need to, because that love has always been here. Like the sky above the clouds, untouched, unchanged, ever present, waiting for you to look inward, waiting for you to return. And when you do, when you look in the mirror and see not a project to fix, but a soul to love, you finally understand self-love is not indulgence. It is not vanity. It is sanity. It is the remembering of who you truly are beneath it all. It is the return to your sacred, luminous, limitless self. Now, as we reach the final moments of this journey, let us pause for a moment and take in the vastness of what we have uncovered. The truth has been unfolding like the petals of a flower, each layer revealing something deeper, something more intimate. It is not just the words that we have spoken today, nor the thoughts that we have entertained, but the very essence of who you are, the divine, the eternal, the unshakable presence that has always been there, waiting to be recognized. Self-love is not a luxury. It is the lifeblood of your existence. The breath you take, the thoughts you think, the steps you take upon this earth, they all spring from the well of love that resides within you. And when you come to fully own this truth, when you no longer seek validation from external sources, but instead draw from the infinite well of your own soul, you begin to experience something truly miraculous. You begin to understand that the peace you seek, the joy that eludes you, the sense of purpose that feels just out of reach, it was never anywhere but within you. You are not broken. You are not incomplete. You are not waiting to be saved by someone or something outside of you. The power, the beauty, the clarity you've been seeking is you. It has always been you. In this moment, feel the weight of this truth. It is not heavy, though it may feel overwhelming at first. It is the weight of your own divinity. It is the weight of owning your worth, of seeing yourself not through the eyes of the world, but through the eyes of God. It is the weight of finally acknowledging that you are not just a person living in the world, but a spark of the divine, an embodiment of love, peace, and power. When you stand in your truth, unafraid and unashamed of who you are, you release the need for approval. You stop seeking to prove your worth because you know deep within your bones that you are enough. You are worthy of all that the universe has to offer. The universe responds to you not because of your actions, but because of your energy, the energy you radiate when you know that you are worthy, when you know that you are whole, when you know that you are loved. There is a profound shift that happens when you begin to love yourself. It's not just a shift in how you view yourself, it is a shift in how the world interacts with you. The energy you give off creates ripples in the world around you. Your relationships change, your work shifts, the way you engage with the people you encounter, the way you move through the world, it all transforms because you are no longer seeking to fill a hole. You are no longer seeking to gain something you don't already have. Instead, you are sharing from a place of abundance, from a place of wholeness. And it is here, in this space of full ownership, where you begin to understand that self-love is not vanity, it is sanity. It is the foundation upon which everything else must be built. It is the soil that nourishes the seed of your true potential. Without self-love, you cannot access the fullness of your power. Without self-love, you cannot align with the infinite wisdom that flows through you. Without self-love, you remain disconnected from the truth of who you are and the divine purpose that is yours alone to fulfill. But with self-love, you are free. You are free to be yourself, to express yourself, to create from a place of true authenticity. No longer do you need to perform, no longer do you need to shrink or hide, no longer do you need to apologize for your existence. You are here in this moment as you were always meant to be whole, complete, and radiant. It is in this place of ownership that the soul ascends into full alignment with the divine. There is no longer any resistance to the flow of grace, no longer any struggle between who you are and who you are becoming. You become the living embodiment of your truth, and in that truth you find your freedom, you find your peace, and as you stand in this freedom, know this: you are the reflection of the divine. You are the creation of the universe itself, crafted with love, with intention, with purpose. The universe does not make mistakes. It does not create anything without reason. Your life, your existence is no accident. You are here for a purpose to love, to serve, to grow, to create, to be. And when you embrace the fullness of who you are, when you embrace your divine identity, you align with that purpose. And as you do so, you will find that the world around you begins to mirror this truth back to you. The doors that once seemed closed will open wide. The struggles that once seemed insurmountable will become stepping stones. The relationships that once felt draining will transform into powerful sources of support and connection. The work you do, the life you lead, will become a reflection of your inner peace, your inner love, and your inner power. But this journey, this transformation, is not a one-time event. It is a continuous unfolding. Each moment is an opportunity to reaffirm your worth, to choose love over fear, to choose peace over conflict, to choose joy over sorrow. And as you do, you will find that life begins to flow with greater ease, with greater grace. So, take this truth into your heart, into your bones, into the very fabric of your being. You are worthy of love. You are worthy of peace. You are worthy of every blessing the universe has to offer. And when you embrace that truth, when you stand fully in the love that is your birthright, you will experience a life that is nothing short of miraculous. Now, as you stand in your full divine identity, feel the weight of the world lifting from your shoulders. Feel the burden of self-doubt, of guilt, of fear dissolving into the air. Feel the embrace of the universe as it welcomes you home to your true self. You are not alone. You have never been alone. You are a part of something far greater than you can fully comprehend, a force of love, a force of light, a force of creation. And when you align with this force, when you align with the love that resides within you, you become unstoppable. In this moment, let go of all that no longer serves you. Let go of the doubts, the fears, the limiting beliefs that have kept you small. Let go of the past, for it no longer holds power over you. You are free. You are whole. You are enough. And as you step forward into the world, know that you do so as the full embodiment of love, as the full embodiment of your divine purpose. This is your moment. This is your time to rise, to shine, to own your truth, and to live the life you were always meant to live. Embrace it. Claim it. You are not just a person. You are the divine in human form. And it is time for you to step into that truth with every fiber of your being. So, take a deep breath and let this truth settle deep into your soul. You are worthy, you are loved, you are enough. And as you embrace this, you will find that the world around you begins to reflect the love and peace that you now carry within. Now go forth knowing that you are no longer searching for yourself. You are here, you are home, you are whole, you are free, and this is just the beginning.